So I always had this feeling that we are all naturally judgmental. So I dug deep and I did some research behind it. It turns out to be true. We are all naturally judgmental. So I read this article on Psychology Today where it explained that our brain is split into two different processes. One, which is the intentional process, where we have all our intentionality in terms of decision making, and one is the reflexive part. And that is more about the part of how we react to situations very aggressively and very fast without thinking it through. And that is the judgmental part of our brain. You guessed it right. The reflexive part of our brain is where we make judgments because it has that involuntary computation where it allows us to react very fast on a situation and make a judgment about it. A very interesting article. I'm gonna put the link below in the description so you guys can check it out. But it really illustrates how we are all judgmental in a sense, and there is no such thing as, oh, you can't be judgmental. No, we all are, whether we like it or not. It's a reflex. It's a reaction. It's a reaction to identify something that we don't understand, something that we need to get explained to us, and you can't escape it. It's like the analogy. It's impossible to look at words and not read them. Have you ever tried that? It's literally very, very hard. I don't think it's actually quite possible. Similarly, when we look at someone and we look at a situation, we have to judge. We can't escape it because for some reason it feels like we need to know what that person is all about. When it comes to race, for example, it's stereotypes. When it comes to other aspects, it's judgment. And that's how we program our minds to compute a lot of things about other people. That's how many people are able to actually progress in life. But in today's video, I'm really gonna shed light on, is being judgmental a bad thing? Because for the longest time, everybody keeps saying to me, oh, you shouldn't be judgmental. Oh, you shouldn't be the type of person that looks at people in a bad way. Where the truth is, whether you're being judgmental or not, has obviously its bad side, but in a lot of times it's not really a bad thing. Now, when you talk about being judgmental, I know there's a negative connotation with this word, but I don't want you to look at it from that perspective. And I think this video is once again for people who feel that they've been threatened and attacked and criticized and ridiculed because they're being judgmental. You know, the typical stereotype that we always hear: don't be judgmental, keep an open mind, let people be who they are, whatever it is. And what I say to that is that if you're receiving this kind of information, it's good to not be judgmental from an overall perspective, because obviously it allows you to embrace people and embrace things in a little bit of a better way. But what I think what a lot of people are missing is the idea that judgmental doesn't just mean an extreme sense of judgmental where you eliminate or you base someone's judgment on everything that they do and you eliminate that existence or their presence or who they are as a character or assassinate their character. And also being non-judgmental can be taken into an extent of naivety, because if you're non-judgmental, people may take advantage of you. People may cause harm, of course, and may do something bad towards you. So it's a spectrum. And what I say is basically being judgmental is a spectrum. I don't think it's a good idea to be at either end of the spectrum, but I think somewhere in the middle, we are judgmental to a certain extent. There are various degrees of judgment, various degrees in judgment, and of course there are many reasons and many factors for that. Why I say there's many various degrees and of judgment, because not everybody is going to judge you on every single thing. You understand me? And that's because some people can relate to the experience. For example, if someone is a very bad driver, or someone who was drinking and driving and was caught drinking and driving, people that drink and drive are not going to really judge you because they also do it. You see what I'm trying to say? So they're not going to judge that part about you, but they may judge the fact that, for example, you're somebody who tries to have sex without condom, just an example. Or you're somebody who's super reckless and would be willing to cross red lights. That's another example. People are not going to judge you on every single thing that you do. In fact, the reason they won't do that is because they may relate to you on some aspects. For example, if you're somebody who drinks alcohol and drives, People who drink and drive are probably not going to judge you because they kind of understand that sometimes I do that too. But on the other hand, they may judge you for crossing a red light because even if they're drinking and driving, they're not going to be doing something crazy like that. But you might be somebody who crosses a red light. So not everybody is going to judge you on every single thing that you do because it relates to their own experience. But at the same time, they will be judging you on certain other things that in their mind they can't comprehend why that person would be doing or why that person is that in that way, a very easy example is if you share a story with somebody that you went to prison. If that person did not go to prison, they might be like, whoa, I can't be around this person. Keep your shit away from me. Stay the fuck away from me. But if you're somebody who has went to prison, has experienced prison, you might be like, okay, people do mistakes. It is what it is, and it happens. There's also another factor when it comes to judgment, and that is ignorance and knowledge. When you judge somebody, it's because you don't have the knowledge about what a situation, or you've been given a certain amount of knowledge and you made your judgment based on that, or you're simply ignorant and you don't have all the facts and all the information. And people do that. But you might be asking me and wondering, then why do we judge? Why do we all judge? And look, there are reasons why we all judge, and I think a lot of them are valid. One is defense mechanism. We all try to protect ourselves, and we all try to keep our guards up because we don't know what that person can do to us. So naturally we judge, and when we judge, we keep we keep our defenses high. We keep our guard high. We don't want anyone to interact with us. We don't want anyone to impact our lives in a certain way, and that can be actually good. And I can understand someone who is always judgmental because that could be a good thing. I want to prevent harm for myself. Another important factor is because it's easy to predict and compute how a person will behave when you judge them. It's easy to label people in a certain box or a certain range and basically put them in a place where you know what they're going to do, you know how they're going to behave, and you anticipate a lot of different things. So because of that, you tend to judge them. When you judge somebody, you somewhat give them a labeling, and based on that labeling, you expect them to behave in a certain way. And when you expect them to behave in a certain way, you protect yourself, or you understand how to deal with them. Not many people are aware of that, and a simple example is, if you're going to judge as someone who always smells and they don't take care of their own hygiene, you're not going to be around them, because you're going to be like, if they smell, they're going to make me smell too. Or if they smell, they're going to make me think, or they're going to make others think about me that I'm also not hygiene. So you act in a certain way. And a lot of people do this. They don't want to be around certain people because other groups of people are going to think about them in a certain way. Like if you're associated with people that like trouble, if you're associated with people that steal or commit crime, it's natural. It's a natural process of elimination. I know what you do, I know what you are, I'm not going to be around that. And the last thing, of course, is to establish boundaries. And I understand people, look, boundaries are important. You can't escape it. You need boundaries for your own sanity. You need boundaries for your own mental health. You need boundaries so you don't get influenced or affected. Like what I spoke about, the other two reasons. You can probably say that predicting someone's behavior, and also understanding how your defense mechanism leads to creating boundaries. Now, I did say that we all naturally judge, and I think you as a person, I think again, my content, I'll always say this, my content is for people who probably go through these things, probably go through judgment and also judge. And the reason I talk about these things is because I've experienced them, and at the same time, I think it can relate to you a little bit on how you can improve and navigate your life around these certain situations, and just understand that everybody has gone through things that you've gone through, whether it's being judged on, whether it's judging, and obviously being labeled as someone who's judgmental. So you can look at both sides of the spectrum and understand why people do certain things, and why would you, for example, judge or wouldn't judge. But But I think an important critical point is being judgmental can also be very dangerous, because if you're somebody who's judgmental, you're always going to stick with these preconceived notions about people and how they behave and who they are, and you're not going to give any room for anyone to showcase who they are as a person to you. And that to me is very unfair, and also at the same time, I mean, why would you even do that? Like, think about it. Why would you even live your life in that way? Why would you even want to be somebody who is perceived as a judgmental person all single time? It's like you're not giving anyone a chance to be themselves, or to open up to you, or to be friends with you, or any of that sort. And I mean, can you call yourself a person? From not really. Yes, I mean, listen, I understand people are going to be judgmental to protect themselves, and I think you should understand what's important to you, protecting yourself. But everything is in, you always hear this all the time, everything is in moderation, everything is by being in the middle ground. And if someone is judgmental, okay, and if you are somebody who deals with someone who's judgmental, how do you deal with those kind of people or those kind of characters? First of all, when you see someone who is a bit judgmental, you kind of try to understand where they're coming from. And what I say here is that you have to be patient. Patient is that's looking at their perspective. What is their outlook on life? Why do they think in this way? And also communication and understanding. Communication will always be important. When I say communication, is not just talking, but is also a part of it educating those people, that letting them know that being judgmental on such a topic is not a good thing. Always being judgmental is not a great thing at all. More importantly than that, you have to have understanding. You see, I don't expect you to be a saint. I don't think people should be like who they aren't, you know. I don't expect anyone to be a saint. I don't expect anyone to be the best, very accepting and very willing to what people are going to say. But you have to have a little bit of tolerance into why a person thinks in a certain way and why they want to be judgmental. And again, I want to say something important here. This what I'm talking about today is not about labeling judgmental as being good or bad. It's acknowledging the fact that judgmental is a real thing, acknowledging that we are all judgmental and that will never change. But it's to highlight that there are different levels of being judgmental. And this is to highlight that not everybody is judgmental about everything a person does, but there are certain things and certain parts of a person that they possibly could be judgmental on, based on what they've seen in the past or based on how the person behaved. And also, their judgment is going to be shaped by their own experience, like I mentioned earlier. If they feel like the person did a mistake, it's because they've done a mistake on a similar occasion. If they feel that, no, this is unacceptable, I am going to judge you on that, it's because they haven't experienced it, or they don't have the capacity to forgive and to give leeway and to understand that people fuck up and that's life. So my point here is to shed light that being naturally judgmental is a fact, is the truth, and it's part of human nature, and it's something that will always be around us, and you have to accept it. You have to be there for it. You have to be willing to work around it, to have a better outlook in life, and to know the people that are around you, whether they're friends, family, whoever. I can say that I am also judgmental in certain ways. I'm not gonna hide the fact I'm definitely judgmental when it comes to certain things. But I've done tremendous work on myself when it comes to understanding how to put myself in other people's positions and really view it from their own. And when I really put myself in other people's shoes, I have such a surreal, clarity on what was done, why did they do this, and what happened. And I thank God at the end of the day, because I was protected. I wasn't put in a position that caused me to be judgmental because of a bad experience or because of a situation, and look at it as a protection from God, for example. So yeah, that's the message. Keep an open mind and just pay attention around you, and try not to be judgmental every time on every single thing.